Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me. My name is Gene Boykin. I'm the founder of the Go Getter family. Tonight, I've got a very special guest. I've got attorney-at-law Matthew Gilbert Esquire. He's a real estate attorney and a tax attorney, but he also specializes in being an advisor for some very high-level people, and then also advising people on how to build their legacy and build generational wealth, but doing it the right way. All right. So you guys stick with me. We're going to take questions on the second half of the show live. So let's get to it, guys.
I'm a go-getter. They some go-getters. We some go-getters. Hope you a go-getter. Let's get it. I'm a go-getter. They some go-getters. We some go-getters. Hope you a go-getter. Let's get it. I'm a go-getter. Hustle to the end. We some no-quitters. Knock it out the park. We for show hitters. Right, left hemisphere. That's a dome splitter. Yeah. Control our own destiny. Make moves. Cultivate whole legacy. Creative finance. Bring more ecstasy. The right ingredients. Now that's a dope recipe.
All right. Thanks for joining me, guys, on this beautiful Friday evening. I've got Matthew Gilbert here with me, and I'm proud to have Matthew, man, because he's a fellow Iowan. Now, y'all know I'm from Iowa. I'm always talking about, small town guy, right in the middle of the cornfields, but there's some go-getters out this way. So, man, Matthew, thanks for joining me tonight, man. I appreciate having you. I'm just glad you're here, man.
Yeah, thank you, Gene. I really appreciate, man, tapping in with the Go Getter family. Heard lots about the awesome things you're doing and really excited to plug in. So definitely use me up while I'm here.
Absolutely, man. We plan to do it now. You're a lawyer, so everybody's always on you asking you questions. So, but first, I want to start, man, with just introduce yourself, man, and tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I'll start. I always like to start from my divine introduction into this world, and so I'm Matthew Gilbert. I'm here in Waterloo, specifically here in Waterloo, Iowa. I'm a native of Waterloo, Iowa. I actually descend from generations of master healers and master teachers, and and activists who have really worked very hard for the Black American story and really trying to make sure that Black Americans here have rights, civil rights, have access to education, access to economic rights, and access to financial capital. And so a part of my legacy has really been able to just plug in with organic communities like this, Gene. So I'm really excited to share a little bit about my work and a little bit about what I do. I'm an attorney, I'm a social entrepreneur, and I'm also a philanthropist. And so for me, giving is at the heart of what I do. And I know the information is key. And I'm definitely interested in sharing a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of information that I've acquired over a lifetime. In addition to that, I'm excited to share some of my technical and expertise with your fans and your following and the Go Getter family. And I just feel like right now is just a seed for us to be planning to do so many great things moving forward. And we can get into what I do, man, really a little bit more as we kind of pour out, man. But I wouldn't even know where to start, man,
Yeah.
from building businesses to building legacies to really helping families and businesses and communities create generational wealth and transfer that generational wealth from one generation to the next. And so I'm really excited to work in communities that have often been left behind.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited to really be thinking very human centered with a lot of the solutions that I provide, which are basically making sure that we're not only developing you as the leader or as the individual, but that we also are looking to develop the empire as well as the legacy. And so all of that really looks to the whole person. And so I'm really fascinated with us as human beings and us as leaders. And I'm really interested in being able to share some of the development that I've learned, as well as some of the tools and science that I've been able to gather along the way.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. And something you said, man, it caught my ear, because we had a conversation earlier. Steel sharpens steel. We're all trying to build something. Everybody wants to kind of leave a legacy and just live a better life. But you said you're a social entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So break that down for me, man.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, so for me, although I'm very interested in how capital markets work and very proficient on how capital markets work,
Hmm.
comes to building businesses or when it comes to creating wealth, I'm actually interested in creating wealth and building businesses that make a difference, that do good, right? That
Hmm.
actually solve issues in our neighborhoods, in our communities, that actually solve problems for people and make the way of living and the way that we relate and our livelihoods and our sense of well-being better. So for me, definitely I'm down to build businesses to make a lot of money, but I'm also down to build businesses to make a lot of difference, right? To make
Yeah.
a huge impact. And I feel like that's a better use of my skill set than me, working in Fortune 500 companies that I work with, right? I can
Hmm.
make a better difference actually helping those leaders that want to change, that make a change in their neighborhoods or in their local community, and they want to do it now, real time, with real expert level support.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think that's why we ended up finding each other almost, man.
Yeah.
My one of my companies, the Go Getter family, and then we buy houses and help people. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're about, man. But you have your law degree, or will you specialize in real estate and you're a tax attorney, right?
Mm-hmm.
So did you have that thought, I guess, going into getting that specialization? And then tell me how that correlates with it, right?
Yeah, so a lot of my story comes with learning and appreciating and really experience through poverty and the lack of generational wealth. I come from a very unique family here in Waterloo, Iowa, where I'm like fourth or fifth generation Black professional here in Iowa.
Really?
Yeah, and so what that comes with is a sort of legacy of creating goodwill in the community. But what I learned is that goodwill in the community don't pay the bills. And what I found out the hard way is that although all this goodwill has been created, there was really no wealth that was attached to that, right? So
Mm,
during the time where my ancestors were contributing to helping to build up the social capital and the community capital, it didn't actually come with any economic gain. And so
mm,
because
mm,
of that, I'm generation that had to start from scratch, right?
mm,
And many of us are from that same understanding, right? First generation wealth builders. That is
mhm,
someone that I am. And because of that, I actually have taken the wealth building process very seriously,
mhm,
both through entrepreneurship, but also both through actually the human development, right? Growing as a leader. One of the first businesses that I started was being a wellness coach and an expert, right?
mhm,
And so finding space and learning how our well-being really attaches to our accumulation of wealth was like profound. And when the light bulb started to go off for me, I was looking like, wow, okay, so
mhm,
my health is literally a contribution to the amount of wealth that I'll be able to create. Let me get serious about this conversation. And so I really wanted to lean into sort of the wealth building
mhm,
industry in a different sort of way. And I
mhm,
knew off top that generational wealth was important to that. And so my lack of generational wealth sort of led me down this adventure of learning how to create and actually protect generational wealth. So I
mhm,
specifically went to law school to study tax law, to study how you transfer wealth from one generation to the next. And I
mhm,
also wanted to be proficient in business. And because of that, I looked at real estate. I looked at how we transfer property. I looked at how property is held both in future interest as well as in today. And it was just profound for me to develop the skill set that I have because I
mhm,
knew even at that time that one of the most dangerous things to the Black family was the tax code. And I knew that was something that we had to have expertise and skills in our community, right? And most
mhm,
importantly, in our families to help navigate. So I set out on a selfless mission to learn and acquire these skill sets. So my brothers and my sisters and my community didn't have to, but also that we weren't taken advantage of or exploited because we didn't have these skills. And so
mhm,
how it really aligns for me is I work with a lot of sort of tax policy. We from everything from historic tax credits all the way to low-income housing tax credits, all of the tax subsidies that you could imagine in a state or a local jurisdiction. I'm a part of either being able to develop that policy, or I'm also a part of navigating both for families, businesses, and communities, public or private, citizens actually being able to navigate those infrastructures and institutions. So I'm really excited about how I approach tax policy and how I approach the tax work. And I'm really excited about being able to help families navigate even when they have issues with the IRS or with local governments, really how to go about tapping into the programs that are available for you to help resolve issues.
Yeah. And for those of you that are just tuning in, I appreciate you guys coming. Don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're new, we provide some value. Consider subscribing. So this is Matthew Gilbert. He's an attorney out of Waterloo, Iowa. And me and him had a good conversation today, but we just chopping it up, man. We're gonna leave that at that. But that was a lot to unpack there, right? Yeah. So it was a lot to unpack, man. But what you were saying was true, right? Because I grew up poor, man. I'm the first generation wealth builder as well. And my uncle, here he was somebody, but it was at social capital. So it seems like, and then the members of the Go Getter family, man, from all around the country are people who, for the most part, come from nothing, and they're trying to change that, right? But we have in our minds and in our hearts, man, we're just good people. And we want to help other people and uplift other people. But at the same time, when we're doing that, we forget about the things that are going to elevate us to the next level. And for me, I have been doing that all my life. You know what I mean? Helping other people, not tripping about no money and this and that. But then I finally came to the understanding, man, that, wealth and money is going to get you that influence, right? And that influence, you can wield that influence to help, to be a voice for the voiceless, So it's like, man, I got to be proficient when I'm in the boardroom with them sharks that wear suits and ties, right? Because I'm a voice for them, for the voiceless. But I've got to be able to take that, kind of skin off almost. And then when I'm with, my people, man, everyday hardworking people, kind of switch that around. So that's hard for us, man, to kind of switch. And I see that a lot with the people that I deal with, man. So what advice would you give for a person, who's coming up from nothing, but is also coming up in this time right now, man, where time and geography don't matter, because we can make money in the digital economy and we can build wealth, and we don't need money to make money. We can go out there and get to it, man. What advice would you give to that person?
Yeah, two things. I would say ownership and know your worth, know your value. And I feel like that's so important right now as we really scale in the digital age. And when I talk about ownership, what I'm talking about is not just ownership of a building or ownership of property, right? I appreciate the work that the Go Getter family is doing, because being able to spread that knowledge around ownership is so important, right? But the demonstration of ownership also starts with you owning your story, right? Owning those humble beginnings really is important and will definitely separate you from the rest. It's a lot of grifters out here. What I learned through this pandemic, what I learned through the wake of the George Floyd trial and the George Floyd murders, there's a lot of people that just want to jump on something that because it's hot. But they don't necessarily want to stick in the long run, right? Stick in when it gets tough. That's the separation between an owner, right, and someone that is most likely going to be employed or a follower in that sense, right? Because ownership really requires you to go through the ups and downs. It requires you to deal with the liability. It requires you to literally confront the risk, right? Yes. And what I'm helpful in doing is helping families and businesses and communities confront that risk before they have to assume the risk. Right. So one of the things that I really help families do is help navigate the ownership and the wealth creation that you're managing for your own family, as well as you taking on these complex risk liabilities. Right. Real estate ownership, ownership of financial capital and non-financial capital. Even now, my clients are getting into to DeFi and Bitcoin and other tokens. So it's a whole different sort of ownership conversation. So I definitely say start with ownership, right? That's the first thing to do. And the second thing is, you know, and that's ownership of your mindset too. Ownership of your thoughts the things you tell yourself, right? The things that you learn, the information that you unpack, the people that you listen to, the channels that you follow, right? Own that, because right now you have the ability to tap into frequencies that you couldn't even imagine. And so that's the reason why I say know your value, because knowing your value is going to give you the strength, right, to really be able to stand up for your value, stand up for your rights, stand up for what you represent when other people don't understand. And we're at a time where it's not really meant for everybody to understand. It's meant for you to transcend. And to transcend, you got to let go of what all them false beliefs and the false teachings that we've been told, man. That go to school, get a good job, bro. That never was my goal. That never was a part of the plan. That was a reality that I could even face, even though I bought into it hook, line, and sinker. I just knew.
Just knew, right? Like you can't even dare explain it, man. It's just like, man, I just know this ain't it. So I know I'm going a different direction. And I was talking to somebody today, man, that kind of, you know, had told a little bit of my story, man. And like, you know, it's like 99.9% of the people aren't going to assume that risk, right? That it takes to build something, right? To have greatness and to build wealth. And that's what I try to talk to my people about. Is like, man, the best bet that you'll ever make is betting on yourself. Right. But if you're gonna bet on yourself, you want to give yourself the best odds.
Agree.
You know, you bet on yourself, you want to give yourself the best odds, man. So if giving yourself the best odds means, you know, getting all the knowledge that you can, right? Seeing the value in spending some money on a professional. You're not losing nothing. You're gaining a wealth of knowledge, of doors that are opening. And then when you open those doors, they're being opened correctly, right? So they don't come back and stub your toe, you know what I mean?
And they literally, or come back and steal generational wealth.
Man,
see, that's how it really unpacks itself, is because, you know, I think about the times when people approach me, they're really excited and they tell me about their vision, but then they're like, yeah, and so my partner and I are doing X. And then I'm like, ooh, okay, now let me unpack this relationship with you and your partner. What does that really look like? And so I definitely agree with you. Bet on yourself first, and then look at engaging in partnerships and other things. That's a part of some of the affirmative defenses that we approach in our strategies, right? My planning strategies with my client is like, we don't just partner directly with nobody. We're not in the business of partnering, right? We're in the business of ownership, right? And so because of that, we ain't partner until we know what we own, right? We know our worth until we know our value. So if we don't know our value or know our worth, you should not be talking about partnership. Otherwise, bad partnership out the gate. Most likely you're getting taken advantage of.
Man, you ain't lying. Hey, you know what's crazy, man? I got played, man. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I got played, and I had talked to you a little while before, and you was like, man, you know, the internet of things, you know, it's just out there, you know, things are just out there. It's like the wild, wild west, you know, and if you don't have your T's crossed and your I's dotted, I mean, there really ain't much recourse, right? So I helped some people out, man, and I just did it. I helped them out. We had a gentleman's agreement, you know, and man, I ain't see my little couple $1,000s, man. You know what I mean? But the way I look at that too is this though. Now I'm not gonna put no real, you know, I can stand $2,000 that didn't come out of my pocket that I didn't lose, right? It was just knowledge and some time that I gave. So I'm not gonna be risking nothing real for real. But another thing you said though was that mindset, man, right? So I know by, like, you know, I got beat out to $2,000, but me giving that, and then my mind where it's at, knowing that there is no other option but getting to my destination. I can't even see nothing else. Like, I don't even think anything else exists in this universe but getting to that destination. And you said it, man. You unlock things, man, that you didn't even know you could even do, man. And then they just show up. Right. So do you have an example of when something like that has happened for you, man, or you know, in your experience?
Oh man, I tell you, coming up, man, I've been an entrepreneur all my life. And so it wasn't until I really until other people started telling me that this was it. I was an entrepreneur and that I would hustle and make things happen, man. I'm talking about everything from, you know, negotiating batteries on the school bus back in the day, right? To selling Kool-Aid packets at elementary. So I've been that guy the whole time, right? So
Right.
I've had many experiences where my hustles has outshined anyone else. And so for me, I'm at a point where right now I'm excited about listening to stories like what you just said. It's like, it's a story of, you know what, man, although I took a loss,
Mm-hmm.
the loss was something that I can shoulder and I can get on. What I'm afraid of is those instances is where you keep taking losses and now you $2 million in it and can't really get out of that loss.
Right.
So those are the losses that when people start calling me, right? It's
Yeah.
like, man, this loss is one that you're going to have to take a lick on. Now, all I could do is keep you from basically having to blow your whole entire life to pieces, right?
Right.
Because now it's important for you to figure out that there are different ways of renegotiating debt, renegotiating credit, renegotiating lender and creditor relationships, right? Like that is the space where I'm seeing so many stories and having so much heavy lifting. So I'm just like, man, people can't call me soon enough. But I've been a person that I've learned the hard way myself. So I got many lessons, everything from trying to start a trucking company to trying to start a record label to you can imagine, right? You can imagine all the things to the point where I've even had instances where people have tried to use me as a vehicle to further their own, what would I call it? I wouldn't even say criminal endeavors, but to just further just bad things in the universe, right, all over the place, right? And so what I've had to be very careful with is not just who I work with, but why am I working with you, right? And that's why I call myself a social entrepreneur, because I'm looking to align the work that I do with the same values that I carry, right? Because those values are going to lead and precede us being able to make a profit. We can make as much money as we want together, but if our values don't align, then we harmful to one another. And so I've learned, and would be one of my lessons that I would share, is definitely do business with people that have the same values as you.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%, man. That's what I tell people, you know, before they join the Go-Getter family is, you know, if money is your end all be all, if that's what you just have to have over anything, the Go-Getter family ain't the right place for you. Yeah, that's just not the right place for you, because we're service minded first, and we're paid in direct proportion to the value that we bring, right? And
that's not an ownership mindset, right? That's not an ownership mindset, right? That's something that you taught, right? You taught to be an employee, you taught to be like that, right? That's not a discipline. It's not natural. Right? Naturally, you want to be able to own the resources that help you survive, right? You don't want to be, you know, and in addition to that, another natural part, and this is why I call myself a social entrepreneur, because another natural part of that is wanting to share resources, right? Because doing that, pulling resources together, also helps you achieve a whole new level. And so what I'm really perfected in and really helping communities and families get perfected in is, how do you share those resources, right? In the business, how are you sharing those resources? And oftentimes I'm talking to bosses and executives and business owners. How are you sharing those resources and those wins with yourself, right? How are you paying yourself? If there's not a benefit package or something that's aligned with your lifestyle, in line with the amount of risk that you're taking, and your company ain't paying for that, then we not talking the same mathematics.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. Cause you know, I mean, you out here making that money. And especially, man, in the situation with today's economy, man, because you don't have to have a product, like a physical product, to sell. You know, I mean, I've made my way and started to build wealth off of knowledge, man, both in the real estate game, and then also, you know, in the teaching space with the Go-Getter family, right? I'm just teaching the knowledge that I've learned, and then the knowledge that I acquired in real estate allowed me to acquire properties, You know what I mean? Without having to go borrow money from the bank and things like that, man. So talk to me a little bit though, man, about and guys, if you have questions, put them in the comments, put where you're from, and we'll answer those in the second half of the show. But talk to me a little bit about real estate, man. You know, that's my that's my joy right there. So what do you think about the market right now, just based off of your expertise, and then, you know, dealing with high level people? Because I know you do commercial transactions and, you know, dealing with some high level stuff. So is it still going up, man? Has it peaked yet? Is it on its way down? Talk to me.
Yeah, so if you look at cyclical real estate markets, what you'll find is that we're trending in a time where we're very familiar. We have a recent memory of, right? That goes back to the '08 and that subprime lending time, right? The tools are a little different right now, but the predators are out there. So I definitely would encourage folks to be careful and to actually make sure that you are taking sound advice and looking at sound knowledge and sound information, specifically because this might be kind of the last frontier for a lot of that first generational wealth builders. Like there might be a time, right? We never really accepted that there would ever be a time where there is no sort of moving up the ladder, right? Moving up the food chain, right? There might be a time, and this is the time where we're walking into, where wealth has been calcified at a level where there really is no entry point. So if you're getting into real estate because you think it's a one-stop shop for anything, you thinking very wrong. And the time right now is about to show you. You're about to see a lot of people that are thinking that they're going to get rich and that real estate was once what it was, and we're going to go through this other little hiccup again with real estate. Now it's about aligning yourself with smart people, smart information, smart strategy, smart investments, as well as with a community like the Go Getter family that's actually demonstrating and doing this, right? When you are able to sort of share some of that risk taking, and you don't have to take all that risk up front on your own, and you can try to navigate and learn systems and processes on how to really do this right. Now you become a benefit to folks like me who really want to see these transactions be fruitful, but have also worked on the end of foreclosure defense, right? Or worked on the end of mortgage refinancing, or been a part of the bank institution and what it means when they actually come after and take their property back, right? So we're coming at a time where you really want to align yourself with the best information, as well as people that are practicing this. But definitely, I would say this is a time for the savvy investor. This is not time for the rookie. So if you're kind of just jumping out there hoping that you can hit a home run, I would encourage you to think differently about real estate. And that's only because you're dealing in a developer's market where cash is king. So you're going to see a lot of built projects. You're going to see a lot of built infrastructure, but you're going to see a low tenancy, or a level of tenancy that's not fruitful, or a level of property management that's not sustainable. So although we got a lot of built properties and a lot of built infrastructure, actually who manages and upkeeps that property, or who actually owns or holds on to that property, man, it's going to be silly. And so right now I'm dealing with so many developers who are maybe fresh out the gate, you know, developing commercial properties, whether it's mixed use properties, developments, whatever, right? But a lot of the pandemic, it made those that were not, it's two different types: pre-pandemic development and post-pandemic development. And the developers that I know that have survived the pandemic, they got a whole new thought process and outlook on what it means to build and what it means to take on some of these projects. And that is not as sexy as it is. And I'm talking $10-20 million projects. I'm not talking about a home, right? That's a very different relationship. But I'm also working with developers who are in the business of building homes and building single family homes, but understanding that investment is so important to them, that I'm having these investors actually, and these developers actually think about the neighborhood, right? What's the neighborhood going to think about you coming in and building? What's the neighborhood going to feel like when you actually being a landlord in this environment? Like, what's the neighborhood going to feel like being able to access capital to actually own this home? And I'm really excited about working with those developers that are actually looking at that nuclear level, that social level, looking at the family structure, because we're about to go into a time where the family is going to mean a lot more than it ever has been. The tribe is going to matter so much more than it ever has.
Yeah, I feel that, man. That's why, man, it's like the go-getter family came around that pandemic time, man, and that time of change, extreme change, right? Like you said, man, it was two types, man. It was that pre-pandemic and that post-pandemic, and things changed, man. And a lot of people are doing this, what we doing now, over Zoom, right? You don't have to be in a physical location, man, but you do need that tribe, like you said, that group, man, somewhere where you can connect, you can reach out to people, where you know somebody. If you don't know how to do something, you know a person that can get to that, right? That can get to that person of expertise, or knows how to do it. And when you can bring those things together, man, and work as one. And then the savvy investor, that's where it's at. That's where it's at, man. And kind of building that up, cultivating that. So I like
definitely the savvy investor right now in the real estate market. Like, you need to be investing and really understanding your wins and your losses, and you need to understand that before you invest. And I know it's kind of this kind of knee-jerk reaction right now, because some people have access to more capital than they ever had, or have access to cheaper capital than we probably ever will. Right. I know there's a need to want to do a knee-jerk reaction, but man, cash is king right now, and access to credit is so important. So if you got both of those things, be smart, right? Align yourself with the professionals to help you through that process. Align yourself with people that are doing the work, like the go-getter family, and make sure that you understand sort of what kind of loss and what kind of risk you might be incurring, because being able to navigate a loss, right? Like I talked about, man, you might be losing out on generational wealth trying to navigate one of these losses. Like, this might be a loss where there may not be any new stimulus that comes on top of this, because no telling, we might be in a no who knows how long war, right? With no telling what nations. So because of that, we at a very, very different time. And I really want folks to be thinking different level. Like, what was the financial situation like during the times of depression? What were the financial situations like during times of war? What were the financial situations like during times of sort of reset? Right? Like, those are the mindsets you need to be thinking and combing through history, and how have we responded as a nation? So you can start to align how you want to respond. Because how we responded as a nation may not be how you individually want to respond. So that's why I'm saying, don't keep up with just the trends. Pay attention to what's important and what matters most to you.
Yeah, because man, when you're trying to keep up with them trends, and there's that change, or there's more chaos than there is smooth sailing, and you try to keep up with the trends. In my experience, and from what I've learned, is you might be on the losing side more than you are on the winning side, because what it seems is that wealth gap grows in times of chaos. All right. So like you said, you got access to credit, you got access to cash, and I'm out here moving and shaking, man. I talk to people from all over the country. There's a lot of hedge funds out here buying houses, cash. Boom, they coming in, buying them, man. They're buying the cookie cutter houses, they're buying the fix and flips, all of that. And it's kind of, it's kind of indicative of what's to come, man. So guys,
I say this, bro. I say this, and this is some of the OGs taught me, man, is all money don't cost the same. And so really, this is one of them times where you really need to take that to your chest and really try to understand is that don't be out here trying to chase the bag, man. That get the bag moment, man, we really past that, right? Because now you got situations that can be set up where you don't even got to leave your front room to go get the bag. The bag can come to you. So we at a whole different level of genius, and I don't want people to try to get stuck in the get the bag mentality. And that's what I appreciate about the go-getter family, is like, this ain't a get the bag kind of conversation, right? This is a conversation where we can play this to my grandchildren, right?
Mhm.
And they can feel like they are one step ahead of their peers. And I feel
Yeah.
like that's the space that we need to be in, is thinking one generation ahead, not thinking and get the bag, because we not in the get the bag times, bro. We in the,
Right.
you can literally create whatever it is that you want.
Man, you said it. Hey, and you had mentioned it earlier too. You was like, man, there's a lot of grifters, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I bump into that a lot, man. There was two ladies from St. Louis, that had bumped into a mentorship, man. Paid a lot of money, didn't learn the right way to do things. They came to go get her family's way and they kind of recouped some of that, a good
Mm-hmm.
portion of that. But there's a lot of people out there because of the internet technology, Zoom calls, right? They've read one book and they're good salesmen,
Mm-hmm.
and that now they charging people a ton of money to lead them down the wrong path. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? They lead them down the wrong path, man, and people are paying. People are
Mm-hmm.
paying for it, man. So you know, from your expertise, man, as an attorney, right? Because you gotta look at human behavior, right? And all the intricacies and how people behave, talk, act, move. Um, with what's out there now, right? Everybody's a mentor, everybody's a coach, everybody's an expert, everybody's a guru. Uh, how do you tell people, man, to protect themselves when they're in a situation though where they're like, they're seeing all this because it's coming from every direction and they want more, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody seems like they're getting more. How do you tell a person, man, to kind of protect themselves, but at the same time, though, put themselves in a position to get more?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, man, some of my law school professors would teach you that, especially when it comes to tax law, right?
Hmm.
That pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered, right? So one of them situations where it's like you can use it to the point where it could hurt you, right? So
Hmm.
definitely know your limits, right? Know your boundaries, right? There's so much good information that's going on out there, and it may not come from academia, and that's okay. But
Hmm.
you definitely got to make sure that you are in a position where, like you talked about, like this was an investment, right? I didn't feel like it was a loss. Although I didn't get the expectation that I got, my investment netted me what, right? And so that's why I say making sure that your intentions are clear up
Hmm.
front, I think is important as you navigate the Internet of Things, as you navigate continuing to grow and develop your business, right? As you start to really develop a solid vision for what it is that you want to do and why you want to do it, it's
Hmm.
really important that you quickly align yourself with the best and the brightest in that space, because
Yeah.
now you have access to them, right? You may not
Hmm.
have direct access to them, but you may be able to follow them on social media or tap
Hmm.
into some of their information products, right? Make sure
Hmm.
you're able to do that, right? And don't think that just the don't don't be fooled by celebrity, right?
Right.
And I feel like a lot of us are going after celebrity. And what you're
Mm.
going to learn is that in the next couple decades, that celebrity is not going to mean the exact same thing that it always meant, right?
Yep.
You're going to have living room celebrities that are going to be doing more numbers than the celebrities that are in our traditional entertainment venues, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I feel like there are spaces where we sort of still get stuck in these old mindsets and these old ways, right? Where
Hmm.
these illusions have been created for us that celebrity means value. Not really, right?
Right.
I value having the real relationship more
Hmm.
than I value just having the celebrity, right? And I feel
Hmm.
like a lot of times working with high profile people, right?
Hmm.
You get to learn what they value and what everybody else values.
Right.
Oftentimes they're not the same thing. And so
Yeah.
that's why I said make sure that you align yourself with what it is that you value, right? And
Hmm.
do that quickly, because it's
Hmm.
easy to get off on a tangent. I would say don't try everything, but don't be afraid, right? Don't
Yeah.
lead with your last dollar, and don't play scary money.
Yeah. Ooh, man.
Don't play scary money.
Yeah, you can't, man. You can't. I just spoke at a high school, man. I'm gonna put that speech up on YouTube tomorrow for y'all's recorded. But I spoke at the high school, man, and I was telling them that I had found this strategy, this investing strategy. I bought some houses, so I was making some money, and people had reached out to me because I did an interview on my mentor show, and that's kind of how the Go Getter family got started. But I had this knowledge in my head, and when I'm delivering it to people, they're looking at me like a deer in headlights, man. You
Mm.
know, so I'm wasting their time, they wasting my time, you know, but people want it. And I know I had value, right, in it. I know there's value in it because I'm doing it and it's changed my life. So I ended up, man, paying a company to help me get them 7 steps together, get it out of my head into a system, man. But it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money, man. So I had to spend pretty much everything that I had. I maxed out my credit cards and I had just made a chunk of money, you know, and I had to bet on myself. So I had to borrow money from a couple of friends. So I found out, you know, the people that were trying to align themselves with me when I started buying these houses. But then when I needed something, man, what? Some of them stopped answering my calls, you know, some of them disappeared. You know, my fiance, she like, you're about to spend all this money and you just made all this money and then you're not getting anything, you know, because I was getting knowledge. So I was telling them, man, like, when you know in your heart and your soul that this is it. This is it, but you got to put that work in, put your nose down and grind it out so that you can utilize this. You know, that's it. But you got to make it through that adversity that's going to come along with that. And then that's when you'll see God's grace is in that adversity. But if you going through that adversity, like I just took that risk on myself, man, bet everything. I just had something. Then I'm going through some adversity. If I get to ask myself, oh man, why did this happen to me, man? Why is this? I was supposed to be, you know, winning. That's the moment that you miss it because you're asking yourself the wrong question, right? So it is a tough line to walk because you know, but you hit that hard patch, man. And it's like, damn, I thought I knew, right? But when you believe, man, and you know, and you just know there is no other outcome, man, it's gonna go.
Yeah.
So you can't play scared money, but you can't play dumb money though.
No. You definitely, again, you gotta be clear about your intentions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And really understand your why, because it's going to be easy for you to sort of get lost in the fog, right? Get lost in a bunch of information, get lost in a bunch of sales pitches, or get lost in what you hope to be, right? Like really clear, as clear as you can be up front, especially with dollar bills, especially with your financial capital. It's your grandkids' money.
Yeah, and you just gave a gem right there, man. And people might not even have heard that, man. Be clear. Be clear. I had a clear path, right? Which I'm sure you had a clear path, but it wasn't an easy path to walk. And it might have been far out of sight, but we could see it. We could see it. We was clear, man. But that doesn't mean there was no risk. That doesn't mean that it wasn't hard, but it was clear. It was clear, man. So that's probably the gem of the show right there, man. If a person can conceptualize that, man, that meaning of it being clear.
So really invest that time in developing your vision. Share that vision with at least 3 people that you trust in your tribe, right? And don't do it as a sense of hoping that they get the same expectations and they're excited about your vision. Do it as an exercise so you can make sure that you understand your vision clearly, right? Because if they don't understand and if you can't communicate it to them, then it may not be clear to them. And to be honest with you, you'll go through repetitive phases of that. As you grow and as you develop, as your vision develops, it'll transform. And so you'll always need an opportunity to sit still and to sit in the vision to really find that clarity. I know I've done that multiple times, right? Transitioning careers from being in the health and wellness industry to being in the industry of law. Those aren't natural progressions, right? I had to be very clear on what the dynamic was that I was going to be shifting, right? One environment was very healthy lifestyle and very healthy habits. Another lifestyle was like, man, you do whatever you want, right? Just get through it, right? Just get through the adversity. And those two things don't always align, especially align with who you want to show up as. And so for me, I wanted to show up in my authentic self. And so I had to make sure that my health practice was also a part of my legal practice and that these two things married themselves together. Otherwise, I would be really lying to my clients around the type of importance that I have on wealth creation, right? Definitely even wealth within the mindset, wealth within your personal self, as well as wealth within your family are important. And if I don't value that, then how can I share that with other people and ask them to value that?
Yep, man. I feel the same way, man. With the go-getter family, well, what I do, I've got to value that if I'm going to be, trying to push that on people, and people should be able to see that, right? I can see it when I'm dealing with somebody, man, and they trying to, sell me a $3 bill, man, for the double up, just give me $1.50, man. I give you this $3 bill, right? I can see it, right? We all know $3 bill don't exist, but a lot of people, can't, So I'm gonna ask you one more question, man, and then I'm gonna take some questions from the viewers, guys. So, guys, thanks for watching too. Don't forget to hit that like button, man. Don't forget to hit that like button, and you can see Matthew's social medias in the description and his website as well. If y'all want to go check him out, man, it's all in the description. Go check him out. Go show him some love, man. Hey, get us in that algorithm, man. We out here giving that game. So, man, I can't even tell you, man, how many times, because I've always been a go-getter, man, and I bet, you kind of attract those types of people, right? Whatever type of person you are, you're going to attract that type of energy. So I remember, man, when I was young, man, we had just got out of high school, and I had a homie, man, he was a go-getter. He was getting to it any type of way necessary too, man, but by all means necessary, but he had started a business, right? He had started a business, man. I remember he had a P.O. box. He had, a LLC, I think, you know what I mean? Like, so there's still people out there, right, that want to get that started. They want to start a business, man. I remember I gave some game on how to, go to the SOS, hit space, and then your 2 letters of your state, right? And you'll get to that Secretary of State site. So for the person that's just, getting out there and wanting to start a business, or they even have like something of value they can bring, right? A business that they could start, but they don't know where to start or how to start to protect themselves. What piece of advice would you give, man, for them to move forward, right? Just take that first step and maybe even into that second.
Yeah, I definitely would encourage you to do your research, right? Go get a library card, go learn as much as you can. But then after you learned as much as you can, don't just automatically jump out there. Actually go and talk to a couple professionals, right? Go and talk to an attorney, right? It's important for you to have that consultation. It's going to be worth your while, not to evaluate whether your business is a good idea or not, but it's really just for you to listen and to learn the risk that you're taking. Because sometimes people got a good idea for a business until you actually learn about the risk that you're taking, right? And when you learn about the risk that you're taking, it ain't a good business no more. Because the thing is about entrepreneurship is you can actually create the worst job for yourself.
Man, what you that's some game, boy.
Yeah. And so and to escape and to free yourself from doing that, right? Creating something that you literally got to work to get yourself out of, right? Work to get you and your family out of, right? Work to try to bounce back or try to reclaim some of that generational wealth that you squandered, right? I think it's also important that you actually also talk to a CPA so you can understand both the tax and the non-tax financial liabilities that you're going to incur. Because it's really important that a lot of people don't understand how their business idea is going to make money. And because they don't understand how it's going to make money, they don't understand sort of the tax ramifications of what you're trying to do. And a lot of times people just feel like, okay, yeah, it's good to operate from a shoebox or from underneath my mattress, right? Like that's okay for like a short period of time while you're in the idea phase. But once you start trying to take that idea and you actually want to put that idea into the public sphere, you want to make sure that idea is not only protected, but that it has a safe place to develop and nurture and to grow. And you're going to want to make sure that you're not doing things up front that actually violate you being able to do this long term. So I said, man, some of the best advice, go develop your idea, go think it through. But then go and talk to an attorney, go and talk to a CPA. Those are going to be some really important conversations for you to have before you feel like you're ready to jump, right? Now, once you're ready to jump, there's so many different things that you can do, and it's not an expensive thing, right? But it's going to be expensive if you don't know what you're getting yourself into, because you can be costing your life and your family's life.
Yeah. You said it, man. It's not an expensive thing, but it can be expensive on the back end if you mess something up, man. So I agree with that 100%, man. So we got a question here from Denton, Chimera. He's in Michigan.
Okay.
So best advice at how to approach the leaders / movers in a certain field and build a mutually beneficial relationship. That's a good question,
Yeah,
man.
really great question. This is something that I talk through with a lot of my clients, right? Because before being high profile, you had to create some value, right? So I would also make sure that you understand what value you're creating before you try to create a mutually beneficial relationship. So if you don't know what value you're creating, sometimes for yourself, sometimes for others, right? There's really no way that you can really establish a mutually beneficial relationship. Once you're able to understand and clarify and communicate the value that you are creating and that you're offering, then I think it's important to also pay attention to the value, right? Or at least the understood or perceived value that you have on this leader or this mover and shaker in this field. Sometimes we approach it as like very combative, right? Is that you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know what you're saying, and it doesn't create a place for harmony or a bridge. Sometimes some of the best things that you can do for movers in certain areas are to ask them questions, right? Or to participate in, maybe they have a forum or an event or something going on. Any opportunity you get to learn more about them, where you get to sort of deepen your relationship, I think is going to be important. So invest in the relationship building before you actually try to invest in what's going to be mutually beneficial. Because what you may find out is after you develop a relationship with this person, that this may not be somebody you really want to be moving and shaking with. They might have a title and a space that is necessary for you to get something done, but you know how to be calculating and actually know what type of relationship to have with this person, because not all relationship is for the public. I have a lot of relationships that are not for public function. They're just not relationships just because of the work that I work with. I work with government officials. I work with high profile people. So there's not all the time where I have to always show or try to put all these same people in the room. It's only when there are mutually beneficial relationships where I can maybe make that happen. But otherwise, we take time to actually learn and explore and understand why this is going to be a relationship that we want, for one, and why it's going to be mutually beneficial. But it starts with being able to understand the value that we create and that we're offering, and being able to stand on that.
Yeah, you definitely got to stand on it. You definitely got to stand on it. And you dropped a gem there too, right? Because one, I mean, having these relationships, they can be very beneficial, especially if it's somebody, you know, who you feel is doing or has accomplished what you want to accomplish. But what you said there, man, was man, what, man, I hope they listening. So when we think we're bringing value to this person, it may not be the value that they're looking for or that they need, or even that we want. So understanding and building that relationship first is what's going to allow you to make the move that you want, man. And you got to be calculating. You do. If you want to move ahead, that's what I'll be talking about with building that wealth and then having that influence to be a voice for the voiceless. Got to be calculating to do that. And I kind of did that, man, with the big homie when I was just in Orlando, man. You know what I mean? Like I saw, you know, where I could bring value first before I just jumped in. You know, I'm doing this, I got this going and all that. You know, I don't, you know, man, what, he might have blew me off. Like, man, I'm not trying to hear that. So understanding that first, Denton, and building that relationship, right? You're not, where it comes off like you're not trying to get nothing from them. You know, you're not that person that's coming up asking for advice and asking for this and that, because they get that all the time. So build that relationship first, man.
Some of the best mutual relationships are when you don't need each other.
Yes. Boom. Oh my God, man. So simple, yet profound. You don't need each other. So then when you bring something to the table, like, you know, because you don't need it. So you don't need nothing from each other. So it's like there is no, you know, ulterior motive where, you know, you kind of got to watch your look around like, man, this dude talking to me, who coming up behind me, you know, type of situation. So yeah, that's huge, man. That is huge. Thanks for that question. So Tobias Jones. Tobias, what's good, man? I got your text too in your email, homie. I'm gonna hit you, man. I've been moving and shaking today. So, who is a good CPA to use?
Good. Yeah, really great question. And I think that this is a question that is subjective. Everybody's response is going to be different, but there are a few things that you want to look for. You want to look for a CPA that has a good reputation, right? You want to make sure that that reputation is one that, for just as a matter of fact, right? Just that reputation is good, especially with the IRS, but also with other customers. So if you got a business, hey, give me a referral, give me somebody that you can recommend, give me a testimonial, let me learn, let me talk to one of your clients. I want to learn about what kind of business that you have, right? Then also, I think it's important as a to figure out what is the CPA sort of strategy and discipline. Like, what are they using as far as their software, right? Because some software literally is like built into the federal government's back office. So they always have access to it, right? So you want to make sure that if you're using if they're, doing your books on a particular type of software, that your information is protected, right? Specifically protected from any unintended disclosure, right? Then secondly, you want to make sure that you have good rapport with that CPA, right? Understand what is their billing cycle, understand what their fees are, understanding sort of how they perceive you as a business owner, especially if you're going to a CPA and you're talking about a business and all they're talking about is doing your personal individual taxes, then you guys are not having the same conversation. They do not see you as a business, right? They see you as an individual that's got a side hustle and you're trying to do something to get write-offs, right? At the end of the day, they don't see you as a legitimate business. So you really want to make sure that you are seen as you want to show up in the CPA's eyes, and they treat you accordingly, right? If you're a business that needs a little coaching, that's a part of their service package. Or if you're a business that needs a little bit more hand holding, that also is a part of their service package, right? Don't sign a service relationship that doesn't get you what you need, right? If all they're doing is your tax reporting, then understand that they're not going to be doing your ongoing accounting and your bookkeeping, right? And so making sure you're clear on what the services are that CPA is using, as well as the softwares and technologies they're using, I think are important. But I think I've worked with all sorts of CPAs around the country, and I'm tapped into a network. So I definitely am open to helping people identify and share and have access and gain access to those CPAs, especially some of the BIPOC CPAs that oftentimes oftentimes overlooked or are developing their enterprise.
Look at that. There's another plug, man, for the Go Getter family right there, man. That's what we do. This is what we do. So y'all take advantage of that resource, right? Take advantage of that resource. So I got a question though, man. I got a question because, you're a professional and a real estate and a tax attorney. So what I have experienced, and then what I talk to people, man, what they kind of experience too. When we call a professional, man, I'll call a lawyer's office and I'm trying to get an appointment, man, or get a question in, man, and I'm just getting pretty much brushed off. I can't even get, I got the money, man. They ain't even messing with me. So how do you suggest that that people like us approach that, man, and get that done? Because it is kind of hard to get in that door sometimes.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I think that is partly the demand is so heavy. So I get it at times. I'm the person that I try to be as accessible as I can, but being accessible as I can also means that I ain't got no time for no games or nothing in between, right? So it's really difficult when it comes time to really being able to take on new business. And so just be patient sometimes. But I would also say take that as a signal to, if this is how they're gonna treat me on my first engagement with them, then definitely this is how they're gonna treat me on my last engagement with them, and make sure that is probably your last engagement with them, because that's probably not the person you need to work with. Any professional that really cares about you and what you're doing, they're going to show you that level of counseling or emotional intelligence, right? They're going to show up to you and basically show you that what you're doing, they're either going to be super excited about it or they're not, right? Or they're going to tell you about where there are gaps. Sometimes the disposition, especially for attorneys, we are not always the most social, right? So don't think of this as this is going to be the person where you're explaining your vision or your dream to, and they're going to get excited about it. No, you basically just told somebody that has been trained to look at the worst case scenario, all the different types of worst case scenarios that you've just created. So give them a chance to unpack that for you. If they do unpack that for you, then that is definitely someone, an advocate for you, right? Someone that actually is looking out for you, right? So don't take, oftentimes people are like, man, because they wasn't hype on my idea, or because he didn't gas me the way that I should have been, felt like I was gassed, right?
Yeah.
Missing, right? No, sometimes it's just about you. We see what you may not be seeing for yourselves. And some people just don't want to get involved. And instead of telling you I don't want to get involved, they'll just give you the cold shoulder. So take that cold shoulder as somebody that's really not interested in being a part of your team. This should be about you acquiring new team assets. That's all. It should not be about you create a new cost item in your financial report. It should not be about you being able to pay for stuff you don't know about, right? It should actually be being able to add a new person to your team that actually brings value to what you're doing. Like that should be your end goal.
That's the way I had to change the way I was looking at that too, man, when I first came in, you know what I mean? But I just didn't know any better until I started moving and shaking a little bit. And I was like, man, that's what it is. I'm adding this person to my team. You know, that's what it is. So I like that, man. We got Pablo. Hey guys, I know I know y'all Go Getter family members put where you from. No, y'all all right. So the other people that come in, no, we got people from all over. Go Getters everywhere. That's right. So any tips on picking a local attorney in our individual states?
Yeah, I definitely encourage everyone to tap into, every state has a bar association. It is basically a sort of professional, self-governing body, kind of membership body. But I would definitely say that, you can go online, tap into any local court or any local jurisdiction, and there is an actual bar association that you can tap into, and they will take your calls and help you find someone, right? Now, they will. Now, the person that they help you find may not always be the person that's most best suited for you and where you are. And so you have to kind of also be willing to open yourself up to other recommendations, right? Talk to people that have worked with attorneys that you trust, right? Those are oftentimes some of the best relationships that you can build. In addition to that, I would also say, don't be afraid to call. Right. Don't be afraid to call and ask, hey, I'm just figuring out some things. Florida, I see is where he's at. It's a wild west down there at times, especially depending on what the matter is. So often understand that, hey, if it's a car accident or if it's a real estate transaction, those may not be the same people that you want to contact. And so definitely understand who's sort of been working in that space. Ask around. Contact the Florida Bar Association. They can help. But also, again, reputation is important. But reputation also speaks to the past. It doesn't speak to the future. So I would say take time to actually identify who in your area is doing this work, who wants to do this work. South Carolina, I got a lot of great mentors in there, down there that are doing some amazing things. They're working on some capital cases, man, that are just incredibly doing some great things. Depending on where you are, again, contact that local bar association. I got, depending on what the matter is, South Carolina, Tobias, reach out to the Go Getter family. We'll try to plug you. Depending on what the issue is, whether it's criminal, probate, estate, trust, real estate, whatever, it's really important to also know what the issue is that you're trying to resolve, because not every attorney is good for everybody, for every case.
Right.
Not every attorney is the best.
I like that tip you gave though, man, to contacting the bar association. That's a good tip right there. I didn't know they would make those recommendations for you.
Yep. It's a matter of the professional responsibility that if they do receive calls that they have to point you in a direction. Now, again, they may just put you on a list and hey, here's the list, contact who you want to contact, but at least it gives you a place to start, and at least it gives you a voice into those relationships. When it comes to attorneys, CPAs, oftentimes it's that introduction. Who gave you the introduction and why that first encounter happened is sometimes leads to the best relationships.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That entered like who sent you, who told you about me. Yeah, for sure. And then, man, this just made me think of something, man, from when we first met. We were at that Small Business Association inclusivity, and the lady there from legal aid, from Iowa State Legal Aid, had mentioned that they help people getting their LLC started, entrepreneurs. So guys, you could check your state legal aid, guys. Just check it out. It's definitely worth a call, because I didn't know that when she had mentioned that. So that's a huge resource too.
Also, contact the local law school that's in your area. I don't know where he's at in Florida. There's so many law schools in Florida. You know, if you're in South Florida, you know, you can contact Florida International. All these law schools, they may have some type of clinic program where students also get access to working with real clients. And so I've actually used that for folks to be sort of a great sort of meet you where you're at kind of level, help advance things. But don't call at the last minute hoping for hoping for a home run. You actually have to think about this as school. So it's better to call at the start of the semesters, right? Not at the end, right? Or if you do call, make sure you're willing to follow back up, because oftentimes there's a waiting list. So I also like to work with students. For my practice, I am always trying to develop the local talent and the next wave of talent. So definitely tap into the local law school and see if there is a clinical program that maybe they can help you start your LLC.
Yeah, man, that's dope right there. See, I'll be trying to think ahead, man. I didn't even think of that. So I would like to do that with the local law school around here and establish a relationship with one of these young lawyers coming fresh out of law school. And then maybe, they could be in the building, you know what I mean? So it's about the relationships too, guys. So if you come in there doing that, and then you're showing your worth, showing your value as well, and respecting these people, you never know what that's gonna manifest into, so that's a great tip, man. Woo, boy, hey, this is what people don't be getting, man. These little tips here and there could be seismic, man, earth-shattering. I'm telling you. So, man, I done had you on here for an hour, man. I know, for your services, that's about, at least a few $100s, man. So
we'll charge it to the Go-Getter family. Don't worry about that.
All right, my man. I appreciate you, man. You got any parting words, man, for the people, man, before we get up out of here on this Friday evening?
Man, it's such a precedent time right now. I'm just appreciative to be able to be introduced to the Go-Getter family, tap in with the Go-Getter family. Definitely love to be welcomed back. But I also am saying, don't be in your silo right now. Come out of that hermit mode, right? Because right now we got to get tapped into the collective, man. This is work that can't be done on an individual level. Wealth building is not an individual activity. It is a group activity. And the more you keep it individual and about you, the further and further away that you're going to be from real wealth creation. And so the sooner you can get into wealth creation and the group activity around it, the faster you're going to get really plugged and engaged in this. And that's the one thing I would say, is that really understand wealth building. This is what my mentors tell me. Wealth building is not an individual game. It's not an individual sport. It is a group sport. And the sooner you get into that group sport and you participate at the highest level, which is your strength, right? Participate in that from your strength. Your strength may not be everybody's strength, but participate in that from your strength. So if you're the type of person where you need to hear things over and over and over and over and over again until you figure it out, then do that, right? Don't go in just hearing just a little bit thinking that that's going to help you enough, right? No. However you need to learn, however you can operate from your position of strength, do that. And definitely understand that wealth creation is a group process.
Ooh, Ooh, that was a good tip to end on, man, right there. Cause that's real talk, man. When you are trying to build something, man, you can't build something great by yourself. You just can't. I don't care how much work you put in. I don't care how many hours, how talented you are, how hard you go at it. You can't, man. It is not an individual game, man. It's a team sport. Building them relationships, bringing that value, and showing, I believe anyway, showing others that you care about their well-being as well is going to further enhance your well-being. So, man, we're gonna end it on that note. Man, Matthew, I appreciate you coming through, man, showing some love to the Go Getter family, man. And you are definitely an honorary member, man. Now you the member, man, a high-level member of the Go Getter family, man. We appreciate you, man. So I'll be touching base with you soon. Guys, don't forget to go check Matthew out, man, on his social medias. They're in the description. His website's in there. And like he said, man, it'll help you tap in, man, especially if you righteous, and you moving in a righteous manner. We ain't got no choice but to mess with you. So, yeah. All right, man. Hey, I appreciate you, Matthew.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, we're out of here, y'all. Hey, until next time, let's get to it, y'all.